So many issues and so many topics to discuss. We're going to start with it right now on the Keystone XL pipeline. Mihaela Carstei, she's Deputy Director of Energy Environment Program of the Atlantic Council, and C. Derek Campbell, a global energy professional and energy security expert. Thank you to both of you. Let me start with this. What's the problem with the pipeline? Why isn't it getting built? Because it seems to me the environmentalists and the business folks who are trying to get this done, that there has been a lot of discussion and there has been some movement forward, and part of the pipeline is already getting built. So when does the other half come into the equation? Mihaela?
Well, as we were just discussing, I think it's because it's become a political issue. Most of the audience in general doesn't understand that the XL part is actually an addition to an existing pipeline. We already have Canadian crude coming into the United States.
There are pipelines everywhere. I looked at the map, and they're all over the place.
It's a big spaghetti bowl when it comes to pipelines around the United States.
So this is just one more.
This is an addition to increase the volumes that we could get from Alberta's oil sands. Unfortunately, it's been under review for the entire time.
Who's to blame?
Everyone.
I mean, I'm sure the Democrats blame the Republicans and vice versa, but
everyone is to blame because they have turned this issue into a political issue instead of looking at it as is it economically viable? Is it environmentally responsible? We don't have a non-politicized assessment of this issue right now.
See, Derek, you stand from the business side on this as well, but you look at a number of different angles. Mm-hmm. What's the major obstacle to getting this deal, basically? I mean, it's already halfway done. How do we get the other half done?
Well, I look at this in a couple different ways, and I'll give you a couple perspectives, okay? My Canadian friends, people I talk with in Canada who are clients of mine as well, they see this clearly as a political issue to the point where it's almost stupid. I hate to use that word so cavalierly, but that is some of the terminology that's been used here, you know, with me. And they see it as, hey, you know what? This oil is going to come out of the ground. We're going to monetize it. That's our sovereign right to do that. You can participate with us, or we'll find some other way to get it out of Canada, either to the east or to the west, and it'll probably go to China. In Texas, the folks who are running the refineries in Texas and Louisiana who want this part of the extension to go, they kind of feel the same way. They may be left-leaning or right-leaning in one form or another politically. They don't really care. In Texas, they want to see this thing happen. And then as a business owner, for me, it creates jobs, right? And so if they want to politicize it, let's politicize it around things that matter. If it's job creation, which the pipeline can do in so many different factors.
Can I just interrupt and ask you quickly?
Sure.
If the opponents hate the pipeline so much and there's so much controversy over it, why is the first part of the pipeline even getting built?
Well, there are 4 phases to Keystone XL. And so phase 1, phase 2 are already built in production and things are going great. And those come from Canada into the United States. Phase 3 is pretty much done. Phase 4 is the phase that people are arguing about, right? And phase 4 is this new extension from Canada into Nebraska.
Kind of across, and I think we showed some pictures earlier of it, but I want to show both of you something about public opinion polls. The latest Pew Research poll, I think we have that graph we could show you guys right now. 60% of Americans support the Keystone pipeline. There you can see 65, in fact, 30% oppose. So look, obviously a vast majority of Americans are for it. So when we say it's political, that still doesn't make sense to me, because even if it was political, they would win because the vast majority of public wants to have this pipeline done. So I still think, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but who is responsible for stopping this project?
I would say that you can't actually pinpoint at a single person responsible for this project not being finalized.
How about an entity?
There are issues, and this is where we differ in our approach to this project. There are environmental concerns, and there are things that are valid concerns brought about by the environmental community. We know that the Obama administration would like to leave a positive environmental legacy. We know that the Obama administration would like to be seen as having done something about climate
fair
change.
Enough. I have to ask,
roadblocks.
I have to ask you, if you're talking about the environment, why are the first 3 phases done and the fourth, this last phase? What's the difference in environmental impact between this last phase and the first 3?
It's the increase in production. It's the additional 830,000 barrels per day that would come in. Let's put it this way. When you have an industrial project that can be seen from space, it's not the same thing as being able to see the Great Wall of China from space. The magnitude of this project is monumental, and there are environmental issues that have to be addressed. And instead of completely trying to stop this project. What I would hope the environmental community could continue to do, which they have done successfully so far, is make sure the industry is held to the highest standards in the production of this oil. Because guess what? If the market is there, it's going to find a way to get to the market.
See, Derek, you're going to agree with that, I think, right?
Let me stand up and talk about some real issues. As you already know, Mihaela, the environmental impact study that was done under the auspices of the State Department, and it's a subunit of the State Department. Even that report came back from the Environmental Protection Agency, right? And the EPA said, hey, I think there's some things here in this report that are not substantiated, right? And if you look at the technologies being used to build this pipeline, and I think the actual, no kidding, what we would call real college boy effort that TransCanada put behind the engineering of this part of the pipeline, they've gone the extra mile to make sure that environmentally there's almost little to no impact, right? And so all the states where this pipeline would travel through have not only tax benefits, but their job creation benefits. So you go back to
and let's just say for the record, the federal government or a taxpayer isn't paying for this pipeline. This is a private project by private companies, right? With a public economic, I'm sorry, environmental impact. I understand that.
And that project pays for itself, right? When you get this increased amount of oil coming through all these states, right? When there's refined product coming out of that, mostly Syncrude, right? There are so many entities.
All right, let me just quickly talk about some dangers here.
Sure. Yeah.
We saw in Eastern Canada that awful explosion. It was a train full of oil. It stopped in the town. I don't want to get into details. It blew up. Lots of people died from it, and there's a concern that there's a danger to this. How real is that? How could that happen?
It's a real issue from an energy security perspective, right? When you have this increase of rail, of crude traffic on rail, of petroleum products trafficking the United States on rail, that is an energy security issue, and it impacts energy resiliency for both countries.
Last word.
We do have to understand that some of the environmental community is not just looking at environmental impacts in the United States. They are more concerned with what this is doing in Canada and with CO2 emissions and the destruction of the boreal forest. Obviously, I think this project may move forward either in this administration or the next one.
Or the next one after that.
Or no, I don't think it's going to wait that long because oil is going to get to the market some way or another.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, C. Derek, Mihaela.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. All right. There's